Hey Clashers, I like to use the baby dragons a lot at the moment, but I feel like when I'm streaming I see so many questions about how to use the baby dragons properly, because there's a lot of things which even top pushers do not know, and I will share those tips and tricks in today's video to make sure that you guys are really becoming incredibly good with using baby dragons. And don't worry, you don't need them maxed out, it's more about the generic use cases for those troops. So let's dive into it. The key thing with baby dragons, which is now different compared to before the update, is how you overlap the abilities. So for example, if you overlap two of the baby dragon abilities, you can burst down really a lot of key defenses. The pattern of the ability is always the same, which means if you deploy baby dragon over here, it will be like a small triangle on how the ability is going to deal damage, which means placement like that means that I can deal damage to those two buildings. Now, if I deploy two other baby dragons just like that and like this, I can actually do the same thing now with triangling into the middle, and it's going to damage something like that, which means I can actually deal damage to those two right here. I will just change the color quickly, to those two firecrackers, which is going to immediately kill them without them ever even having a chance of fighting back. And this is really how you keep as many baby dragons alive as possible. I will just quickly show you that. First off, let's just use the ground hero, because I think most of you do not have the air hero unlocked, so I will just use that. We are, by the way, right now on my second account to make sure that I can show you that versus bases, which most of you are facing at the moment. So for us right now, we're using now the baby dragon right here, baby dragon then right here and over here. We're going to use the ability of the first baby dragon right away, then the other baby dragon, and then the third baby dragon in just a second. You can see we can take down all of those firecrackers and things in the core already without even really getting close to it, which is kind of crazy. The same thing happens as well with inner core buildings, like for example this Mega Tesla, where you can really overlap damage to take it out without even ever having the chance of fighting back, which is really crucial in taking or keeping as many baby dragons alive as possible. With this overlapping technique, you can even get really far into the base dealing damage without ever really getting or like walking into the base. Next thing on this one, we have the air bombs quite far in the middle of the base. So what I can do is to deal as much damage early on as possible to it is get a baby dragon over here. I will change the color again. Get a baby dragon over here. Get this triangle damage into the middle. Then get a baby dragon over here. Do the same thing again. And this is going to nearly be dead, pretty much, from the first second. Which then means it's way less likely that it's going to deal a lot of damage to our offensive troops. So let's just try that. So first, I will just use the air hero somewhere, and then we can try to really make sure that we overlap those triangles. At the same time, it's really important that you learn when to use the ability, because it always depends. It's always going to the direction where your baby dragon is looking at, which is really crucial when using the ability. So for us, let's just use the baby dragons which do not have full HP, so that should be fine, like that. And then we use one with full HP as well, just like that. Now the ability, we get into the core. We can see already a lot of damage has been dealt to that, and then as soon as the second baby dragon can reach into that, we have nearly taken that defense out without ever touching it, and just like that, it is gone. Now more baby dragons in, make sure that we just get all of that out, and you can see in the end we get this base without even having to deploy all of our baby dragons which we have left. Again, like just abilities everywhere, and that is already it. This triangle technique is just so important, and it gets more and more important as you upgrade your baby dragons, because the ability gets stronger and stronger, and then you can rely more on that. So when you want to go for something like this, I really recommend to you rush the baby dragons. You can even use some books if you want to, or like hammers if you have them left, because there's not that many level in builder base, so getting them to max typically is not that hard. Okay, this time it's even more crucial to overlap the damage, because take a look at that. We have 3 buildings which are super important right next to each other. So what I can do on this one is I try to get a baby dragon round about here looking into the middle, which means I can do something like this. If I get a baby dragon from this side in here, we can use the ability as well, and from the top side as well. I think that's what I'm going to try to go for on this one. So let's just try to do it. Let's just try to get... Can I force my 0 through the wall. Let's try to see and see. Okay, there's a Tesla, which means it won't work. But now let's try to overlap the damage exactly as I have told you in just a second. So we will try to do the damage from the top side, from the bottom side, everywhere. So ability now in just a couple of seconds, just like that. Then from the top side with the ability. Then from this side with the ability. We got already the damage into the middle. Now we have to get the damage as well from this side into the middle. Just like that. And you can see the Mega Tesla is down without ever even getting close to that. And this is really how you get those higher level Baby Dragon strategy attacks and everything, to make sure that you have every Baby Dragon possible alive. And if you can master this, and then obviously max your Baby Dragons, because as I said, as you're getting higher and higher with the level, they're dealing more and more damage. So with like overlapping them, you can take on even more buildings, especially since most people are not like having them fully maxed out like on Builder Hall 10 level, which then would make this again a bit harder. This is why I think, by the way, Baby Dragons, they mainly work with max level or like close to max level than versus those defenses. But as soon as Builder Hall 10 is maxed out, they get like Builder Hall 10 buildings get way more hit points to make Builder Hall 10 way harder to succeed in. So yeah, just so don't you worry. As soon as you're facing max out bases, it's not going to be as easy anymore. For us right now, let's just use the Air Hero again. And it's again identifying the value we can get with overlapping the defenses. On this one, there's not that much on where we can overlap. So for example though, this one Firecracker is protected by a storage. So what I can do is use it from this side with the ability, to burst it down right away. We can target this one directly, we can target this one directly, so that should be pretty easy. So that's what I'm going to do. So we just always have to get the angle right. So that's like that. Abilities right away. The first air defense is already down. Ability on the top side, directly target that. Target that at the top side. Abilities in, and it's just done. The entire base just disappeared in a magic way. So this is really the key on how you can get this strategy going, how you can really get into it, how you can master it, and how you can climb so many trophies and get so many 6 stars in a row. And I hope really that this video was helpful for you, that you were able to understand Baby Dragons now better, because it is a bit different to the old version, like Builder Base 1.0, where it was more about like keeping them isolated, and now it's more about like we're strategically overlapping those ability triangle. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back tomorrow for the next Clash of Clans video. Until then, see ya and bye bye. We have a super stacked ring base, or more like center base, where a lot of stuff is in the core. But again, how can we overlap the damage? So what I can do again is deploy one Baby Dragon at the top side, try to angle it just like that. So with like the triangle like this, that is going to work for sure. Otherwise, it would be great to be able to take that somehow out, even though I feel like that's kind of tricky, because we can do the same thing here. Maybe we can do the same thing then on top of the air defense, so that might work with that setup. But we won't get the Mega Tesla out quickly, but I think it should be still alright. We might even be able to then burst. I would just try to tank the Mega Tesla with this cannon. We have a lot of stuff in the corners, which I don't really worry about. Time is never really a big issue with Baby Dragons. So let's just try it, okay? So let's use the hero down here. We will tank with that. Then I would, as I said, try to angle it that the Baby Dragon is going to get all of the damage into the core. Just like that. Ability, nice, we did it. Now the ability here, ability there. Just like that, the firecrackers are gone. Now the ability, and then we can try to get into the middle of the base with that. Nice. You can see already most of the damage has been dealt. So let's send it from that side, and we get the Mega Tesla out. And with that, pretty much everything which can target air is already down. Only the roasters left at this point, but that doesn't really matter. We have still 3 Baby Dragons left alive, and we're nicely able to like overlap the damage, and we try to burst down, especially those firecrackers in the beginning was quite nice, and then just making sure that there's enough damage in the middle. With that being said, 3 Baby Dragons are alive. Yes, it takes a little bit of time because this person is just deploying everything in the corners, but you can see we have so much time left. It's at this point just like waiting time, and then we fly across to the second base, and then we have our air hero. If you don't have the air hero as much upgrade as possible. Still just give it some time, okay? It's really important to not rush with the air hero if possible. So if you have the air hero selected, try to send it somewhere in the corner where it does not have as much damage and where it can load up the ability. So for example, on our like on this base, for example, you could place it on the bottom side or on the left side, where on the storage it's going to load up the ability, and then as soon as you're flying into the firecracker, that's where it's then going to do the splash damage and already does some damage to the defending guard post troops. But again, on this one, how can we actually overlap the damage? What I could do as well on this one is, if we just talked about the baby dragons, is one baby dragon in the middle on the top left, so just like over here, trying to get the ability off like that, and then we get one ability here, and that would be already great. And then we should be already good to go. Which means then we don't even need that air hero on the left side anymore. So we can just play it somewhere to like tank, for example, an arch tower for a little bit, because it has some hit points, right? So let's do that just like here. And then we can now concentrate on the top side, just like that. Use the ability right away. Ability here, ability there. And with that, most of the firecrackers are already gone. Then we can use another building on the top side, on the bottom side. And with that, the base is already pretty much down. The hero in this part didn't really do that much damage-wise, because it really depends on getting that on a high level. Then it's going to deal damage, and then it's kind of broken. Before that, it's mainly like a tank for your baby dragons. That's on how you can use it if you want to. And we can swag again another baby dragon. This is really how you have to play those baby dragon. Overlap the damage, and it's just so efficient in this new builder base, especially as people have not upgraded their village just yet.